Hello and welcome to the United Stand. I'll sort little Alex out in a minute. He is a little bit little on the screen there. But let's get your live comments up as well. Manchester United have won a game. They've won a game. Still loads to talk about. It's been a real contrast today. I think we've been in a dream world in two levels really. That team news came out. We thought we were in a nightmare, and then we're 3-0 up at half time, and we think we're in heaven. Me personally, get some gravy on me and put some roast potatoes around the side because I've been roasted on Twitter by Gary Neville in the last half an hour, which we'll discuss later in the show. All I'd say is, at the end of the day, all I did is ask him a question as to why he still thinks David Moyes should be in charge. The vast majority have gone against me. Would you still want Moyes in charge? That was all I asked. Not for me, Gary, but there you go. But let's talk about the game first of all. 3-1 win for Manchester United. I think we should just all be happy, Alex. At the end of the day, we've won a game with Rojo and Jones as centre. Rojo and Jones, we were in Wales. Rojo and Jones as centre backs. Fellaini in the midfield. Rooney on the left wing, who actually played quite well. Mata on the right. I mean, I looked at that team and I thought, Jesus, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. And I know people say it's only Swansea, but I did watch Swansea 3 or 4 weeks ago at home against Liverpool, and they should have been 3-0 up at half time, and Liverpool beat them in the second half with the normal penalty. But that's the last I want to mention Liverpool. But it's a good 3 points. The title of the show is Mourinho Fights Back. Rightly or wrongly, whatever you think about his team today, I did say at the start, there's only Herrera, Valencia and Bailly missing out. He chose not to pick the likes of Martial and Rashford today. It wasn't really. I think the back four had to be a bit of a make-do team, but from the attack from Carrick forward, that was what he chose and it won.
Yeah, it was great management by Rui Ferrara on the touchline and yelling the instructions. We happened to win when Jose was in the stand. Seriously, I was absolutely fuming when I saw the starting 11. Obviously, the makeshift defence we can't really do too much about. I was a bit surprised that if you were going to play Phil Jones in the team, then you'd think that it would be Blind that would be the left centre-back rather than Rojo, but Mourinho said he wasn't 100% fit to play, so fair enough. I don't think they did too badly. I think overall the team surprised me. For an away game, we did play well. I think second half when they brought on two wingers, we struggled a lot more than in the first half. First half we were in complete control and were well deserving of our lead. Yeah, I thought Rooney played well from that left wing, but having said that, it is only Swansea, so I'm worried now going into this Arsenal game that because Rooney played well, and I said before, I don't know if I've been on the show since the Fenerbahce game, or no, in fact I haven't, but I said in the chat to you that I know now Rooney will 100% start because he scored that great goal. And then today obviously he started and he's played really well, but now I just have a bad feeling that he's going to be our striker in the next game against Arsenal, which I think would be a massive mistake. I don't mind Rooney playing against Arsenal, but I'd prefer him just to be on that left wing or somewhere like that rather than being the striker, because I think he's shown too many times recently that he can't be a number 9 anymore.
Yeah, you've just made Coco look up there. There they are. Coco the cat was looking up about that. It's interesting. I mean, I will talk about Rooney very quickly. Did play very well today on the left-hand side. If you're asking me if that's a new position for Wayne Rooney, no. Anthony Martial should be playing there. He was the best left-sided player in the Premier League last year. I disagree with Rooney playing there, but he did play well. And to be honest, if we're going to play him anywhere, put him on the right or the left, because playing him as a number 10 or a number 9 has been the problem for the last 18 months. So he did do okay. I'm not going to say anything further than that. I'm also going to say I'm not shocked that he's back in the 11. I think from the moment he was dropped, Mourinho was going to take the opportunity to fit him back in, and I expect him to be back part of the team now because he's Wayne Rooney and he runs things behind the closed doors. So that was always going to happen. The team needs to change for Arsenal, but as I said, we had to win the game today. There's lots I want to talk about and maybe what we're going to do in January. But I did cut Skype Goldbridge straight after the game, Alex, and we had the first 2 guests came on and they were really quite negative. I'm looking forward to watching it again on Match of the Day 2 later. But for me, it was about getting the 3 points. There's 2 steps we need to make before we even start thinking about what this season's going to be. One step we've made today, we had to beat Swansea, and we'd won it by half time, which was great. The second step is we've got to beat Arsenal in 2 weeks. And I think a lot of people's concern is this, I don't think this team can get anywhere near beating Arsenal, which sounds stupid because we did play with the 2 De Silvas in the midfield and beat them before. But I don't think, somebody said in the comments there, it's 30 says Fellaini played awful, Rooney did well. And we should have substituted. Somebody was saying there, Rooney wasn't great, just slightly better than his usual shitness, says Andre H. Yeah, I don't think he was great from what I saw. I thought he did far. I think he was probably a 7/8 out of 10. But when he's been consistently a 5 or 6, he suddenly looks quite good. But back to the question, Alex. Herrera's obviously going to be back for the Arsenal game. If it was me now, and I am sort of thinking what Mourinho's going to do. Obviously, Zlatan can't play. I wouldn't be putting Rooney in at number 9. I'd put Rashford in at number 9 or Martial in at number 9. I'd bring Herrera in for Fellaini. And actually, I wouldn't be too fussed if he. I would rather we played Martial on the left against Arsenal, but he's not going to do it. That's just what we want. He's not going to do that. So if he's going to play Rooney on the left, Mata on the right, Pogba, Herrera, Carrick, and Rashford up front, I'll be quite happy with that if we can sort our back four out.
Yeah, I'd go with Lingard on the right and then Rashford up top and then Martial left, obviously. And then I think a really big point that has to play is that Carrick he was once again brilliant today. I think we have to go 4-3-3. We can't go 4-2-3-1. As much as Mata has played well this season, I think we would get destroyed by Arsenal if we went too attacking. So with Carrick as well, it makes Pogba play better. The commentators kept saying, and it is really true, that with Carrick on the pitch, Pogba has it at the back of his mind that he doesn't have to necessarily be as defensive as he normally would because he knows Carrick has him covered at the back, whereas other times that isn't the case, especially with the likes of Mata on the field. And I think we have to try to dominate possession more against Arsenal than we would against most teams. I am worried about it because obviously what happened at I know we beat them at Old Trafford, but then at the Emirates we obviously got destroyed last season, and Darmian obviously against Alexis was a big talking point, but Alexis should be playing at striker, and hopefully by that game Smalling will be back, so I take it we'll go back to Smalling and Blind, and that's what I'd hope we'd go as. But with how Mourinho's been recently, it wouldn't surprise me if it was like Jones or Rojo or Smalling and Rojo, because he does seem to like Rojo.
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly on Rojo and Jones. I mean, the goal what disappointed me about the second half, and I wanted, we'd won the game, and I didn't really expect us to go and score a goal because I didn't think that was. I thought Swansea were going to shut up shop as they sort of did. What disappointed me was that we allowed Swansea to score, and we didn't increase the 3-goal difference. We actually went down, which is just frustrating when other teams are blasting teams out of the park. And I don't know what went wrong with us in the second half. I don't know what you thought, but Phil Jones the thing is, people will play well every now and again, but Phil Jones is an awful footballer, and he'll get injured again. That will happen, but he was at fault for that goal. I mean, it's a set piece which Rojo sort of contributed to that set piece, but we are terrible at corners still, and we seem to be really struggling again at defending set pieces. I don't know why we didn't just go and spend, because I've heard that we're not willing to spend 30 million on Godam. I don't know why we didn't just go and get Manolas, because people say, oh, he's not that good, Mark, or anything like that. The one thing Manolas is good at is winning the ball in the air. We've got Bailly, we've got Smalling and people like that for pace and reading the game, but he wins the ball in the air, and we are desperate for that. And Phil Jones, against Swansea we got away with it, but again we cannot. And what I want to say in fairness is, though, Luke Shaw might have been dropped. Daley Blind was massively lacking fitness. Chris Smalling's injured. Bay's injured. I know some of us would like to have seen Twansibi playing, but that's never going to be Mourinho, and we said this last week, he's not going to do that. So actually the only centre-backs we had were Jones and Rojo, or he could have played Carrick there, and to be honest I think Carrick more or less won us the game today. So we didn't have much choice, but there can't be any future in a Jones and Rojo centre-back partnership.
Yeah, definitely not. As far as the goal for Swansea goes, I didn't see it because my Sky Sports highlights were lagging when they scored their goal. But yeah, I did hear it was Jones's fault. But aside from that, I said I wasn't really too worried about them playing because I didn't think Swansea would have that many chances, and it turns out they didn't have that many chances. In terms of, you said what went wrong in the second half, I think it was just that they brought the likes of Montero and whoever their upper winger was, and then just started to use width, and that's width and pace, which obviously had much more of an effect than in the first half, where it was like ridiculous. In the first half, Rooney had the ball at some stage, he hit the ball, he shot wide, but in the lead up to the goal, he had it running towards the goal, and they had five Swansea players running away from him rather than trying to tackle him. It was like they were absolutely shambolic in the first half. But take nothing away, like the goals we scored, they were good goals, except maybe Zlatan's first one. But
they stood off him so much. I was like, bloody hell, when I saw that back.
Yeah, but it's like in hindsight, like that goal was obviously a really scrappy goal, Zlatan's first. But then if you look at the Burnley goal where he did that ridiculous acrobatic finish and then Heaton pulled off that brilliant save, it just shows like the luck of the draw, really, how goals can go in or be missed. But I thought Pogba's goal was absolutely sensational.
I think you're right. I think the confidence that Pogba will... I mean, we find it funny how Arsenal fans especially, they could beat Barcelona 6-0 and the first tweet they'd send is, this is better than Pogba, because they're obsessed. And Ian Wright this week, who 3 weeks ago said Zlatan was the best thing since sliced bread, about 2 days ago he said that he's rubbish, he's past it, and that's why United aren't doing very well. So Ian Wright, you hardly got any England caps anyway, you big mouthy, useless Sun correspondent that says it all. But Zlatan scoring 2 goals is a lot of confidence. He doesn't play against Arsenal, which is really frustrating, but because I think he would have bullied their centre-backs, and that's a shame. Arsenal are not very good in the air, although they're slightly better now. But Lee Davies says Mickey T stuff is total BS. I'm just going to... Alex wanted to talk a bit about Luke Shaw. I thought he was injured. Well, he is injured, but then Mourinho, Alex will probably know more about this, came out and said that, questioned his attitude. He questioned Mkhitaryan's attitude on Wednesday, and I thought Mkhitaryan in that half an hour did very well, considering none of our players would pass him the bloody ball. My friend Gary Neville, he's tweeted out this afternoon that the players not playing today are not playing because they're shit. That means the likes of Martial, Luke Shaw, Mkhitaryan and stuff like that. He's sort of gone back to a certain core that everybody seems to use over the last 3 years, and I suppose we don't know what goes on behind closed doors with Manchester United, but one thing is for sure, over the last 3 years we consistently obviously Michael Carrick he's a trusted good player, but we seem to always go back to Fellaini, to Rooney, and obviously Ashley Young, who to be honest, I'll just very quickly say, I remember in the summer when we signed, I was talking to Ross earlier, and when we signed Pogba and Zlatan and Mkhitaryan, everyone was getting really excited. I remember having this discussion, it might have been with you, Alex, and I said, it's all right signing these players, we need to get rid of a few players. And I think Scholes said, well, we didn't get rid of enough players. And if you were asking me, my top 3 players I would have got rid of in the summer, it would have been Rojo, Jones and Fellaini, and they're still there. And absolutely amazes me that they played today and we won, but we seem to go back to these players. So maybe these players in training are sort of like, they apply themselves well and others don't. But he's been very vocal today about Luke Shaw's attitude. He did it about Mkhitaryan on Wednesday. I mean, us as fans, we don't know the full story, but I think 90% of fans want Luke Shaw to succeed. They want Mkhitaryan to be playing. They want Martial to play. They want Rashford to play. They want these exciting players to play. They don't want Fellaini playing. They sort of feel Rooney's on the decline. But I back Mourinho to the hilt, and there must be stuff going on that we aren't aware of.
Yeah, in terms of the Luke Shaw thing, the thing I want to say about it is that obviously anyone that watches the channel knows I'm a huge Luke Shaw fan, but that does kind of piss me off if he has got just a slight niggle of Mourinho saying, like the way Mourinho insinuated is that it isn't as bad, is that he's making out and that he pulled out just because of a small injury, whereas the likes of Rooney, like when he was younger, but I think even still now Rooney would, if he had like even a niggle, he would still try to play and all the time. And that's what I was going to say, the point I wanted to make is that as much stick as he always gets, Pogba went off injured the other day, and he went off injured only after, 10 minutes after the tackle, because he still tried to play on through that. And then today, everyone, myself included, thought that Pogba wouldn't be fit, and Pogba not only started, but he was one of our best players on the pitch. He obviously scored that really good goal, and his overall play was really good. So I just thought that that is like, you have to commend Pogba for that, for how he played after coming off that injury. And with Shaw, like that, we had all the drama before about with his brother saying that he was 100% fit, yet we have trash like Rojo on the pitch when when Shaw's miles better than him, yada yada. So I don't know whether that caused tension in the locker room or whatever, but we obviously from the outside don't know how bad Shaw's injury is, but for the manager to kind of come out and say about it, it kind of means that he must be a bit annoyed about it, and it can't be as serious as Shaw's trying to make out.
Yeah, I mean, they're a combined thing, I think. I mean, Ross made a good point on the hour we were live before the match, talking about the team news. And, Mourinho is his own man. and he wants to do his own thing. And I remember we were discussing this, and Ross reminded me this afternoon that Luke Shaw was actually offered up to Chelsea, and Jose refused him. Schneiderlin was also offered up to Chelsea, and he refused him. Well, what's changed in a couple of years that he didn't fancy Luke Shaw? It's not like Chelsea, this was post Ashley Cole. Chelsea have struggled for a left back for a long time. In fact, they've been playing a right back at left back, haven't they, with Azpilicueta? That's what he was doing. So maybe he just doesn't like Luke Shaw. Maybe he just doesn't like Schneiderlin. I mean, what I would say is, and I'll get your opinion on this, Alex, and those on the live comments, is that I back Mourinho for one reason and one reason only, and that's because he's a winner, and everywhere he's been, he wins you a title in the first 2 years. And I just think where Manchester United are since post Sir Alex, which we're going to talk about a little bit because it's his 30th anniversary today, where we are from Sir Alex Ferguson, which is, with every passing year it gets closer to 5 years, then it becomes a decade that we haven't won the title. Well, I wanted Mourinho because I want us to win the title, because I think we need to reset the clock and start again. And you can reset, we win a title, it's not hanging over us, and we build again from that. And I think that's what Jose will bring. What I am starting to realise, and I think some of us do need to realise, we might not like what happens on the pitch to make us winners. We might want Anthony Martial to play. We might want Herrera to play. We might want Mata playing at number 10 and not on the right midfield. We might want Rashford to play up front more. There's lots. We might want Luke Shaw to play at left back. We might not get what we want. We might get today where the team news comes out and we go. I mean, like Michael, who Alex knows, he messaged me and went, "That's one of the worst Manchester United lineups I've seen in 30 odd years." I've seen worse, but it's like we might not get the players we want playing, but we might get results and we might win a title. And I think that's why I back Mourinho, because and he's proven it throughout his career. He will win us a title in the next 2 years, and I think that's more important than maybe what we think about individual players, because it might not be pretty, and I personally think Mkhitaryan's finished. I think Luke Shaw might be heading that way, and I think Martial probably is heading that way as well. That's three players I really was excited about. And Luke Shaw, very quickly before I go back to you, Alex, because you can comment on this as well and the Mourinho thing. A few people last week were saying Luke Shaw's rubbish against Fenerbahce. They said he was awful, and he's affected by the injury. Well, I didn't see him affected by the injury in the first few games of the season. I think what's affected him was post-Watford, when he was publicly berated by Mourinho. That's when he's formed it. He was very good before that, so it's nothing to do with his injury as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah, in terms of the injury today, I was speaking to Key just before I came on. We were saying about how it might just be that he's overly cautious now since the injury, of that any small injury, he's like paranoid about it, that it could lead to more. But yeah, you're right. When he first started, because that was always a big worry that he wouldn't run at players anymore, yada yada yada. And he did start doing that in his first few games. But then recently, like the Fenerbahce, whoever said that about he was poor in that game, I 100% agree. He was like I've said already, I'm a huge Shaw fan, but he was really bad in that game, both defensively and offensively. And then, in the City game, he was really poor in the first half against Navas, just getting absolutely obliterated down that side. And obviously, Navas is nowhere close to one of the best wingers in the league, but he is really rapid. But Shaw has a lot of pace as well. But then second half, he figured out how to defend against him and did a lot better. I think it's a confidence issue. It's not it's not an ability issue. I think Paul Scholes and Michael Owen were discussing it before. How Owen was saying, before his injury, he was touted as becoming one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the world. And Scholes said that he still does think he will become the best left back in the world. And if you look at him like this last season before he got that injury, he was absolutely sensational. So I think it's just a confidence thing. He will come back from it. He just needs time after such a huge injury. It took Ramsey like over a year to recover for Arsenal after that same injury happened to him. So it's just going to take time.
Yeah, well, I rate Daley Blind as a left back. I think in summary of today's performance and where that leaves us, you know what? I just read somebody in the live comments there saying have a rant about Fellaini. I don't really care about Fellaini. You know what? Fellaini is what Fellaini is. I think he's poor. I mean, I was on call Collymore about an hour and a half ago, and even he was saying Fellaini's crap. In fact, we had a Liverpool fan come on Skype, Goldbridge, which I applaud. He came on towards the end and he was on about why I think Mourinho is better than Klopp. But even they were saying, I hope you keep picking Fellaini. But I don't really care. I wanted to win today, and he had chances to score. People could have been really on his bandwagon because he had some good chances to score. But I'm not really fussed about the team today. I actually didn't. I remember when Mkhitaryan didn't get picked a couple of weeks ago for one of the Europa League games, and I was banging the table when the team news came out. I purposely was calm today because I thought I want us to win the game, and I'll reflect on the team when the game's over because I just wanted to win today. But I understand those people who were frustrated by that lineup. But
we were saying in the chat, or I remember saying it, I was like, I guarantee you in the Swansea game, Mkhitaryan will be dropped again and that Rooney will start. And we were right with both things because how we publicly just singled out in that, which I don't, maybe I was watching a different game, but I didn't think Mkhitaryan when he came on was like out of this world or anything, but I didn't think he played that badly. And it's like he got singled out for criticism and then dropped completely to not even on the subs bench. It just makes absolutely no sense.
No, I mean, what I would say about Mkhitaryan is, I've said it a few times, I didn't see every game he played last year, but I saw a few games. I like him. I like his poise. I like the fact that he's got great control and he's good off both feet. I think he's a better number 10 than Mata, and I think Mata should be playing at number 10 for us. But I thought when he came on, I know he gave the ball away a couple of times, but hey up, come on, hello. How many times have Rooney and Mata and Herrera given the ball away? I don't mind people giving the ball away. That sometimes is just part of the game. It's what you do when you've got the ball. And I thought his poise, his balance, he looks exactly what you want to see. I tell you what, if he was at Arsenal or City or even Chelsea, they'd be playing him every week, and probably at Liverpool they'd be playing him every week, especially Klopp.
I'm not saying that he's better than him, but statistically in the Bundesliga, he had basically similar stats to Kevin De Bruyne when he first went to City when he was at, I think it was Wolfsburg beforehand, and his stats are really similar. Like you saw, what did he have? Like 24 goals last season, and it was like 30 assists or something ridiculous like that. Obviously, that wasn't just in the Bundesliga, but all competitions. Someone said, I can't remember who it was, but on Twitter they were like, "Oh, Mourinho saying that Mkhitaryan hasn't got." Like match fitness or rhythm for the Premier League. Yet he's too scared to start him in the Europa League where he got 10 goals / assists combined the season before when Dortmund were in the Europa League. And it's like he can't even get a start in that where he absolutely tore that tournament apart last season.
Yeah, there's got to be something going off because I he wasn't amazing in that half an hour, but I think he was better than most people on the pitch considering we got bullied, and his poise and balance on the ball is better than any of our creative players. So it's got to be something going on, and to be honest, we don't know what it is. As I said to Ross before, if Mkhitaryan's basically gone into the dressing room and said I'm here for the money and wiped his arse with a United shirt, then you back the manager, don't you? But we don't know. We don't know what's going on. Who knows with these professional footballers what goes on? I don't know, but I would like to see him playing because actually I think that team that won today was sort of a bit like what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. It was about getting a result today with people that you sort of trust, and there's no future in that team. There's no future in that team today, whether it's Fellaini playing in the midfield, whether it's a 35-year-old anchor in the midfield, whether it's a 35-year-old up front, whether it's a declining Rooney at left wing, Mata out on the right wing. The only future in that attacking team is Pogba. The rest of them are either going to be too old in a year's time or on the decline, or they're not good enough as it is. But I think today he just used players who he knew could do the role. And I think it's very, very important that Pogba got over that dead leg, because if we hadn't have had him, I think God knows what would have happened. But we won it. We're going into an international break now. And then we've got Arsenal 2 weeks yesterday at the weekend, which again, I think we've just got to win that game. I don't care how we do it. I think those 3 points are massive because we have made up some points ahead of us. Some results really went our way this weekend. I think it was all about making up ground on Everton and the London Derby game, but City dropping points was obviously quite helpful for us as well. What I did want to touch on is we're not too far away from January. I know we sort of touch on it tentatively, but do you think we will make signings? And if so, who would you be going for?
Well, apparently we're going to make a lot of signings, but I don't know whether that will actually be true or not. I'd like to get a speedy winger in for whatever wing, like someone that's naturally a winger. I think we do need an experienced centre-back. I know we've had this debate so many times with the likes of Fontaine, and then in the summer we were saying that Ashley Williams before he went to Everton, but I think we do need an experienced centre-back just in case of, like, obviously it was bad luck with Smalling and Bailly getting injured at the same time, but it shows how light we are when we're having to use like Rojo and Phil Jones at centre back. And maybe potentially a striker, but it's hard to bring in like a good quality striker. We don't even need a first choice striker, to be fair, when we have Zlatan and Rashford, but maybe just so we have a bit more cover there, because like I really don't want to play Rooney at number 9 anymore. I don't think he can play there anymore. And Martial, I would be open to him playing there, but I don't think Mourinho would ever play him as a striker. So, but I think we will make signings, and apparently there's all the rumours of Memphis going in January, and I think he'll probably be the only player that will leave.
Just to have a look at some of the live comments there, just while I think about something. I mean, Manolas is the player I think we should go for, and I think we could get him in January. Chelsea are in for him, and Chelsea just seem to be on fire at the moment. But yeah, I would go for him. I think we need to improve. The one thing that is abundantly clear with United is we need to improve on corners offensively, corners defensively, and set pieces offensive and defensive. We've been poor ever since Vidic left, and Manolas he wins like so many of his aerial duels, and he's actually a good centre back. He's done well where he was before Roma, and he's done very well there. So I would go and sign him. I'd spend £30 million on him, and I'd go and buy him, because we need that sort of centre back. Alex is not a great fan of Smalling. I do like Smalling, but he's not great in the air for his height. I think Bailly is the one we like. A right back, I'm not massively bothered about a right back. I think we need a right back. If we could get someone like Seamus Coleman, I'd be happy. I don't think we will, but I think Valencia can do that job till the summer, because you've got to sort of balance January with the summer. I don't think we're going to sign many in January. I don't know what you think, Alex. I don't think we will.
No, like I said, I think maybe we'll sign like one player or something. It's really hard to bring in top quality in the summer, but in January. I think in the summer we probably will end up doing another like 4 or 5 signings, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I think there's been all these talks in the papers that we're selling up to 8 players next 2 transfer windows, they said. So we're obviously going to have to bring in quality replacements, and there's always been the argument. I know I'm guessing we'll touch on it in the Ferguson debate that you said you wanted to get onto, and I know we have differing opinions on this, but I truly think that Ferguson left us with an absolutely trash squad, apart from RVP and Carrick and De Gea.
You're in the Moyes camp with Gary Neville, you are, that's why.
No, because I know we walked the league that season, but we had Alex Ferguson. Take Alex Ferguson out of that. Well, actually, you saw the next season, take Ferguson out of that team, and look what happens, because the player for player, that team, like I said, that starting 11, apart from Carrick, De Gea and RVP, was really, really poor. And I think if Fergie would have stayed, then we would have won the next season, and maybe even the season after that, because I truly think that RVP wasn't finished. It was just, he did kind of throw his toys out of the pram a bit when Ferguson left, but I think if Fergie had stayed for another season or 2, then we still would have had RVP hitting like 30 plus goals, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely revisit that in a minute. I just want to wrap up the transfer thing. I mean, you mentioned the 8 players there. You can sort of help me as I go through the list and those on the live. There's a question here from Just Chill Out. I do want to say, Mark, do you think Mourinho will hinder Martial's potential? I think he already is. I don't think I need to refer that back to Alex. He can just nod his head if he wants. I mean, Anthony Martial was our best outfield player last year. He's not being picked. So, whatever you think, I don't think he fancies Martial.
I don't really want to slate him, because I do back Jose and stuff, but you only have to look at Hazard last season and Hazard this season for the answer when it comes to Martial.
No, I back Mourinho because I want us to win a title. But as I said a few minutes ago, we might not like it, but the ultimate aim is he will be judged on winning as a title, and if he does that, I think the club comes before anything, and we need to win a title. But what I said before is, any manager who's in charge of Manchester United when Liverpool win a title should be sacked. I'm sorry. And that's the danger this year. We have got somebody, either us or somebody else, has got to stop that happening. They're top of the league at the moment, and it doesn't matter about time or anything like that. You cannot be the manager of Manchester United who allows Liverpool to win a title for the first time in nearly 3 decades. We have to stop that happening. And I don't care how we do that, but we have to stop it. The 8 players we're talking about January, I think we've got to go for a centre-back. Maybe because of Mkhitaryan, we might go for somebody like James Rodriguez. I don't know whether he's getting games at Real Madrid or a Draxler or somebody like that. Mkhitaryan looks like he's done. So we probably do need to sign someone like that. But the 8 players he was going to go for, he was apparently going to sell, and I think it was in the Independent. Ashley Young was on there, Schneiderlin was on there, Carrick was on there, Schweinsteiger was on there. I think Jones and Rojo were on there, and I can't remember who the other 2 were. Blind, was he on there?
I've seen in some reports Smalling and Blind as well. I know.
So that would be the 8.
But I didn't know.
No Rooney or Fellaini.
I'm absolutely shocked if Carrick was on it. I haven't seen the list. I just saw that there was 8 players, and I just assumed it was paper talk. But I would be absolutely horrified if Carrick was one of the names. And if he was one of the names, I don't think after his recent performances that he still will be one of the names, because Mourinho's come out and he said it actually, I think today, which is kind of a really weird point. He said, Carrick is phenomenal, and if it was like up to me, he would play every single game. And they're like, oh, well, why doesn't he play every single game? And it's like, oh, for the same reason I can't still go to the gym every game. But Carrick's the exact same age as Zlatan, yet Zlatan plays every game, so it doesn't really make sense. Which I know, obviously, different body types and stuff. Giggs obviously played a lot later into his career. But I think, like the commentator was saying in the American Sky Sports highlights that I was reading, that Carrick could... how much do you see Carrick run? Because he has the intelligence, he doesn't actually run that much. So I think in terms, maybe not if you include the Europa League, FA Cup, Capital One Cup, stuff like that, but he could definitely play every single Premier League game.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say about Carrick in Mourinho's defence, and we do have to back our manager, it's called back Jose, and I do, is that obviously I'm a massive Michael Carrick fan, I always have been, not just when this channel's run before it, and a lot of us are. And Michael Carrick was always Mr. Steady, not just in the way he plays, but he never used to get injured. Over the last couple of years, he has started to pick injuries up, and I think that is the concern as to how we manage him. And I've said it when he played against Northampton in the League Cup, and it was like, everyone's always got to play on Saturday. Never going to happen. If he plays more than 60 minutes, he's not playing 3 days later. That can't happen. But apparently he is on the list. Fellaini is into his last year of his contract. I've got a horrible feeling we're going to sign him. He'll be given a new one. I really do. He just never seems to be linked with being sold, and then when he is, he gets himself injured anyway. So, in fact, just on the Fellaini thing here, I thought it was somebody else's quote, but I must have said it this afternoon. Jamie O'Hare says, comparing Schweinsteiger to Fellaini is like comparing a Big Mac to a big pile of shit. I know what I'd prefer to eat. But let's move on to Sir Alex. 30 years since he took over from Manchester United. There's a few strands to this I want to talk about, but in all seriousness, I'm sure some of you have seen it on Twitter with the Gary Neville thing. And basically, he tweeted out this morning. He applauded the board because he said, "Well done to Manchester United board for giving somebody 4 or 5 years before they needed to win a title." Then somebody else said, "Oh, so Moyes should have got that," and he basically said yes. To which we tweeted off the United Stand account, "Come on, Gary. You know, if Moyes had stayed in charge of Manchester United, we'd have been relegated. It was that bad." He didn't like that comment, but Alex is sort of saying backing Moyes a little bit in relation to Sir Alex there. I mean, I don't want to go over the 30 years, but I think what is really relevant is that what he left and where we are now, because no word of a lie, nobody can lie. Since he's left, the club has gone into turmoil, and I don't think he would be happy about that, because I think he, has Manchester United's best interests at heart. But it must be, I don't know how it must be actually, when you absolutely dominate something and then you leave and then it just falls apart because you love it. You don't want that to happen, but there must be some sense of pride in the fact that it wasn't ever easy what he did, the domination. And I think we would have won the title the following year if he'd stayed. I think Robin van Persie would have been the same player. I think Robin van Persie was gutted that he signed for us, won a title, and probably wanted to build on that. And Sir Alex went. But I firmly am in the camp that David Moyes took over the champions, and David Moyes messed that club up from day one because he walked in and got rid of the backroom staff and brought his own in. That was the stupidest thing you ever do. It was arrogant. It was kicking down what the club had built and thinking he was better. And this was a man who'd never won against the top four. He'd never won anything at all. And he thought he could come in and take over the champions. And I'm sure he came in with very good intent. But I'd argue with anybody. I think that if you put the right manager in charge, i.e. Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, they'd have come in and we would have we might not have won the title, because I think how much we won the title under Sir Alex Ferguson is a testament to what a man Sir Alex Ferguson was. And it was never going to be as easy to win it. But I think if Mourinho had come in then, or Ancelotti had come in then, we'd have comfortably been top four. I mean, let's not forget, I can't remember where Moyes ended up making his finish, but it was car crash football. It was horrific. But I know this divides opinion. I'd love to see what people are saying in the live comments here. In fact, we'll make it quite easy so we can sort of get a snapshot. Because Alex is saying that, it was what was left was a mess. I'm saying it wasn't. Mess or title winners? Let us know in the live comments. But Alex, the floor's yours. What's your thoughts really on Sir Alex? Do you think he was somebody who was just doing the bare minimum because he knew he could just keep winning titles, or do you think he did leave a legacy at United for somebody to come in and step in and do well with?
In regards to Moyes, I think it was an absolute piss take that he ever got the job in the first place. It depends on who you speak to about, like, we've apparently Klopp got offered the job, Pep got offered the job, Mourinho even got offered the job. Ancelotti as well, I think, was one of the people who got offered, and it just seemed like by process of elimination, Moyes ended up with the job, but I think it was completely the wrong person. I know people say, oh, give him time, but if you just look after Everton, what's happened to him, absolutely useless at United, useless at Real Sociedad, useless at Sunderland, and has he been somewhere? No, he hasn't been anywhere after that. And yeah, he was definitely the wrong manager. You just had to watch how he played, and the thing that would have lost, well, he really doesn't help himself, first of all, with how he talks, like saying about how we aspire to be like Man City. And he did something similar at Sunderland even, so it's not like it was a one-off at United. I can't remember what, it was we'll be fighting relegation, and it was after 2 games that they played, and he was already saying that they'll be fighting relegation. But yeah, he said, aspire to be like City, and then when Newcastle came here to Old Trafford, we'll try to make it hard for them. Tried to make it hard for them when we were the champions by 13 points. It's just an absolute disgrace. But I think the main one, that there was all the rumours whether it was true or not, but then Rio Ferdinand recently confirmed that it was true, where he said to Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic, arguably the best centre-back partnership in the whole history of the Premier League, to see what Jagielka would do, a bang average Everton centre-back that never achieved anything in his career, that they should think what Jagielka would do in that position. It was an absolute joke. But in terms of I've said it before that I think towards the end he was obviously it isn't true, but how he just seemed to try to build as bad of a squad as possible and still see if he could just win the league with it, because he was so head and shoulders above everyone else. But you have to always consider with the Glazers, I think that no manager would choose to play with the likes of Johnny Evans and Tom Cleverley if they had the choice. I think that the Glazers weren't backing him financially, and when Ferguson left, they realised that because how far we fell under Moyes and then under Van Gaal to an extent, that we had to actually finally invest in the squad, which is why we suddenly started bringing in these Galactico players.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily worked, has it? I mean, I saw something on a Liverpool account this morning, and it's very true. United, in one way, you could argue that United are becoming everything we've always hated. Like Arsenal, we're battling for fourth. Like Liverpool, we're always going on about the past. Like Man City, we're going out just buying Galacticos. And like Chelsea, we're sacking managers quite regularly. But I mean, that's from a Liverpool account. Their heads are in the clouds at the moment. But yeah, I mean, the Galactico thing hasn't necessarily worked. I think the best thing United can do, if it's going to take time, is start playing people like Fosu Mensah, Twansibi, Rashford regularly, Martial. Like I said, the team today had to win, and I understand that. But if we're going to use that team regularly, there's no future in it. And if this team isn't going to win the title this year. So if he wants to win it next year, he needs to start using players that are going to be here for a few years. This team next year that played today, a year older, is going to be a lot worse because of age and everything like that. There's no future in that team today. But we needed to win. I'm very positive about it. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Adrian Smith, Blaney is a clown and has the hairstyle to match. Chelsea are the best, says Alice. I'd rather they win the league than Liverpool. Mark Granger says Sir Alex left the club in a mess. Way too many over 30s. But what a set of... I mean, come on. I mean, you could argue Ferdinand and Vidic, but Ever is still playing now. Why did we ever let him go? And the thing about Ever is, even at the time, I remember United fans saying he was past it. He's such a leader. We never should have let him go. You still had Van Persie.
To be fair, in terms of Evra's play in the Premier League, he wasn't good enough to be starting for United anymore. But I absolutely love him as a person. I think we should have definitely kept him as a backup, but I knew he had family troubles. But then apparently I learnt recently that he was like cheating on his wife or something and got caught, and that's why he left to Juve to like escape the English press and all the stories and stuff, and to like move away, fresh start.
Kev McGee says he left a weak and ageing squad. Ashton, David Moyes is the one that ruined us, says Cled's Army. Centre partnership after January. We have so many creative midfield. We did not spend money before Jose. We spent it on mediocre players. Jose bought Pogba and Bay, and they're both sensational, says Sam H. Mourinho is a miserable so-and-so, says Ash.
We didn't spend money before Jose. We broke the Premier League transfer record on Di Maria.
Yeah, Shaka Phillips, do you think Jose rates Shaw, Marshall and Mickey? No, I don't. Old players do great in Italy, that's why, says Jesse Pinkman. I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson left us in a mess at all. I think what the truth is somewhere in between. Like Alex said there, I think he was never given the money because he was too successful for his own good. I think he did neglect the centre midfield. I really do think that. And I think the one thing United did make mistakes on was after 99, a lot of you won't be old enough to remember, but after 99, we didn't build on a fantastic team. We should have gone out and bought one or two top players, and that's why we didn't win the Champions League again. Then he had to build a team again. I mean, he built so many teams. He's just an absolute legend in sports, not just football, in sport. But we didn't, after Ronaldo went, we didn't spend the money wisely. We neglected the midfield. I mean, Stan Collymore again was saying to me before on the call Collymore thing that, I'd said Carrick was the glue today, and he said, you know what though? I remember when you got beat in 2009 in Rome, and people were talking about an ageing Michael Carrick. Well, that was 7 years ago. So Carrick was about late 20s, and we're still talking about cloning Michael Carrick. There are players out there. We've just neglected centre midfield, and I think that is where Sir Alex always frustrated me.
The main person that we always were trying to replace is Paul Scholes, and then we ended in Fergie's last season replacing Paul Scholes with Paul Scholes. Yeah. And it was the reason why Pogba apparently was like the final straw for why he left. But like we bought Scholes out of retirement, and it is similar to basically what we're doing now. And don't get me wrong, I've said even on this show right now that I would be starting Carrick every game if he can play. But I was saying it like last season or maybe even 2 seasons back that it's really bad that we're still relying on someone that's 33 at that time, like 34, 35 now. We shouldn't be relying on him, even though he should still be starting every single game for us. But we need to find a player that's a similar, like that can control the tempo of a game. I can't even think who to sign, but someone like that that's a lot younger.
Yeah. But I do think that another thing that was massively that's caused United massive problems, and we see it with Rooney, who is not a captain. I don't care whether you love Rooney or not, he's not a leader. We lost a hell of a lot of leaders in a very short period of time. The biggest leader of all, Sir Alex, Evra was a leader, Vidic was a leader, Ferdinand was a leader, Giggs was a leader, Scholes was a leader. We lost. You can't lose that many leaders, and then again, I think that was bad planning that we didn't. A club. This happened to Liverpool when they were in the early 90s. I remember them buying people like Phil Babb, John Scales, Mark Wright. They were buying and spending a lot of money, but they weren't. They'd lost what Liverpool were successfully in the late 80s, and I think United have done that. We let a load of leaders go, and you bring a load of new players in, and sometimes it can work, but we've lost an identity at Manchester United, and we've definitely lost leadership. I think Mourinho will bring it back, I really do. But just to close up, Sir Alex Ferguson, definitely the best sports manager in my lifetime, and probably will go down as one of the best in history. It always makes me laugh that Roy Keane, when asked that question, deadpan, who's the best manager you've ever played for? And he went, Brian Clough. And the questioner said, what, better than Sir Alex Ferguson? And Roy Keane, deadpan, went, you asked me who's the best, Brian Clough. And I sort of understand where he's coming from, because he doesn't like Sir Alex. But no, I think when it comes to what Sir Alex Ferguson left, I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as what people think. I just think you're taking over the best manager that's ever been. You're always going to struggle. I just think Moyes should have got top 4 with that squad. And I don't think you disagreed with that, Alex. He should have got top 4. I'm not saying win the title, but it
not at all. Sorry, you have to bear in mind that top 4 back then was a damn lot easier to get than it is now. I think this is going into, well, so far, the most competitive season there's probably ever been. And it's like, with Fergie, obviously, we still would have been competitive and stuff, but it is a huge ask with how we've been like the last 3 years since Fergie to be challenging even for top four, let alone winning the league, because there's so many good teams this season. And like last season was just no one turned up, including ourselves. But like City didn't, Arsenal, well, Spurs had a bit of a run, but like Liverpool as well were terrible. But this season there seems to be so many teams up for it, and I think that's just going to be the way forward. And I was saying to my friend the other day, I think it is going to be the way things turn out now in the Premier League, because it's the most competitive league in the world by a mile, is that the team that doesn't have European football is just going to have such an advantage over everyone, in the sense how Leicester did it last season, and then Chelsea and Liverpool this season. And I think if United do really mess up and miss out on either Europa League or Champions League this season, then I think next season we'll be right up there at the top, and then you'll see another team that doesn't have as good in the squad, like a Chelsea, like a Liverpool, end up down in 6th or 7th again. It's just because of the pure nature of the Premier League. It's so much more intense and so much more competitive.
I mean, at the end of the day, we were in Turkey on Thursday night. It's only 2.5 days ago, and we're playing away at Swansea today with most of the players who played on Thursday night in what was a very demanding game that we lost. Same for like City. They played Barcelona midweek. Arsenal obviously played away, beat them Farmers with the best goal there's ever been, apparently, even though he just lobbed it over a goalkeeper and knocked it in an open goal. Liverpool and Chelsea have had a whole week off. Alex is spot on. I said it on the watch along today. It's no surprise to me that Liverpool and Chelsea are dominating teams and absolutely ass kicking them. And then they're the two top teams, because they're not.
Let me just interrupt you. I actually didn't even think of it till you just said it. We've said about before, last time there was European football, how every single team that played in Europe dropped points. United are the only team this weekend that didn't drop points that played in Europe.
And we have been in every one before.
Yeah, City did, Arsenal, Spurs, Leicester, and Southampton. Every single team that played it except us dropped points. So that just shows what. And then the two teams that didn't play in it absolutely spanked the team they played. So that's a perfect example.
And Liverpool should have won the league the last time they weren't in European football, but we all thank Slippy G. But I hope Chelsea can keep the form up, because somebody's got to go toe to toe with Liverpool. I can't face them winning the title. But I think everybody who's got European football has got a massive, massive disadvantage, because Liverpool from now till May can basically just focus week after week on that, and it's a massive, massive, massive advantage. Dragon Gaming One's on about Pereira. I know a few of you are. He is doing really, really well. A lot of you mentioning him. Andrew Ellis as well, Jesse Pinkman, Pereira, Fosu Mensah, Twansibi, a bit old, a bit younger than that, Gomez, Chong. There's lots of good young players coming through. It's just whether our current manager will use them or not, I don't know. Hopefully he will do. We'll have to just wait and see. But we are into an international break now. Skype Goldbridge is at 8:30 on a Monday night, but I'm actually going to do it every night this week because it's an international break. Loads of you phone in. So get folks Skyping in this week every night at 8:30 and giving us your thoughts on United. I think it's a good time, Alex, to sort of reflect. This is the last international break till May now, thank God. The one that's just gone, we've had 4 games in the league. To be fair, 3 of them have been away. 2 of them were quite difficult. So we've only had 1 league game at home, which was Burnley. 3 away, obviously including Swansea today. From that 12 points, we've taken 5. Is that good enough, really?
For Man United, obviously, it isn't good enough. But when you look back on the season so far, and I myself have actually been critical of us, and I'm looking back, like today in hindsight, I was thinking about it, that I've been too harsh on us of how we've played. But if you look back on that Liverpool game, I know obviously we didn't play that well, but Zlatan missed probably the biggest chance of the season with the massive open goal with the header from like a yard out. Then against Burnley, we missed so many clear-cut chances. Against Stoke, missed so many clear-cut chances. So that alone could have been like another 7 points or that. So we would have been right up the table. It's just like no team's really grabbing the league by the scruff of the neck, really. I mean, Chelsea and Liverpool are obviously pushing on now, but we've dropped so many easy points that we should have won. And on like another day, that we would have put like 5 or 6 past Burnley, 5 or 6 past Stoke. So it's just a luck of the dice. It isn't over yet. I don't think we'll win the league. I think we'll be having to push on for top 4, but I think this team is capable of doing really good things. It's just about getting the balance. It is kind of worrying that like pundits have been saying the whole season how Mourinho doesn't know his best team, and then we go into this game and he's made, what was it, 6 changes or something, so he still doesn't know his best team. So, but in terms of individual players, we have an absolutely brilliant team. It's just we need to get them to gel.
Yeah. I'm just happy that we won today, obviously, but going into the international break, which I hate, at least we've got a little bit of positivity. I think after the Burnley game, even though we drew, you were looking at 7 points off 4th place and 8 off the title, which I think the title was gone, but I mean, top 4 was sort of becoming like the title. I think today we're 6 points off. Are we 6 points? No, we must, I don't know how.
7 off top.
7 off top and 6 off 4th.
6 off City, so wherever City are.
Yeah, I think they're in 4th. So that's slightly better. You've got to improve. I mean, I expected, I thought Arsenal would win today, and I thought Man City would win. I knew Liverpool would win. And Chelsea obviously won well against Everton. So we're moving in the right direction. We have no qualms about it. We've got to beat Arsenal. If we lose to Arsenal, we're bang shit in the trouble again. So we've got to win that. But lots of you on the live comments, thanks as per usual. Please drop the video a like. It's me and Alex doing the Sunday shows, obviously, with all you lot, so we appreciate if you like the video. And obviously, from tomorrow night at 8:30 and every night this week, it's all about you. So get Skyping in and give us your questions. Whether we did have a Liverpool fan on Skype Goldbridge earlier on, so even if you're a rival fan, come on and give us your thoughts. It'd be interesting. But an international break beckons. I'm going to sort of start thinking about transfers and stuff because I think we need to. And it will come quite quick this time. It's not like the Liverpool one last time where we weren't playing till the Monday. We're playing on the Saturday, so it's less than 2 weeks. It's just 1 weekend to get through. But where United will end up, if you're asking me now, I'm going to ask Alex now where we'll be at the end of the season. Still a lot of the season left to go. If I had to put my life on where United are going to finish, I would optimistically say 4th. My head says 5th. Alex?
I think it completely depends upon our next 2 Europa League games. If we end up going out of that, I think we obviously have a much bigger advantage. But obviously, we still win the Capital One Cup. It depends how we do in the FA Cup. It just depends on so many factors. And it's like like I said, it's the most competitive league ever. It's like you change your mind with not only how United will finish, but how the league will just go in terms of the champion as well every single week. Because it's like, start of the season, everyone said City would absolutely run away with it. Now everyone's saying Liverpool or Chelsea. But next week, them two could both lose. And then we're just in the most competitive league in the world, and anyone can beat anyone. So at the moment, 7 points, isn't unobtainable by any stretch of the imagination. What were we when we lost the league to City? I think they were 8 points behind us, and with like 3 games to go or something ridiculous like that. So 7 points is easily make upable, especially when you look at how we've been playing. That's a big thing that's been annoying me, is how people are comparing the points tallies to Van Gaal and Moyes, when if you look at how we've played a damn lot better than we did under both of them. So it just completely depends. We just need. It's really annoying that Zlatan's suspended now, because I thought he played well and he was coming back into form. And we haven't had the luck with injuries, but I would say probably 5th as well, like you did. But you never know. It wouldn't surprise me if we got top 4.
The thing about Liverpool is that they have played some difficult games already because they were having that ground built. So they've played Arsenal at Arsenal, they've played Spurs at Spurs, they played Chelsea at Chelsea. And their home form's quite scary. I'm trying to ignore it at the moment and hoping that they will just all fall apart. But they're so charged and they're so well rested for every game. It's a huge advantage. And I think I would, my negative, and if you can say 4th, maybe 5th is negative. I suppose it is, but it is based on that. You know, it's a very competitive league. I think Liverpool have had a year with a manager. I think Chelsea have done well with their manager. He's just hit the ground running. Pep was taking over a good squad. And Arsenal have got stability in Wenger, and that they're all further ahead of in their journey than us for varying reasons. And I think that Europa League, we will go through to the next stage, and that will undermine us. And I think I can't see us winning that. I don't think we're good enough to win the Europa League, so we'll just waste our time in it.
The thing is, though, that player for player, we're easily good enough to win the Europa League. But you put out that video of the anthem. I don't even know what the Europa League anthem is, but the equivalent of what they do in the Champions League, where they all line up. And they all just looked like they couldn't be asked. It's like, if they were to actually put in the effort that they do in the Premier League, in the Europa League, we'd absolutely brush all these teams aside. But it's like they don't care, and I don't get why they don't care, because Europa League is the best chance we have of getting into the Champions League at the moment as things stand.
No, I would agree. But we shall see what happens in the coming weeks and months. And I just think we just need, between now and Christmas, it's not an easy run. I don't know why people think it is. We've got Arsenal, we've got Everton, we've got Spurs, we've got West Ham. We need to try and win as many as those games, get to January, get some people back. I do feel sorry for Mourinho in a way, although I think he's sort of shot himself in his foot. I always think back to that first press conference because it was so good. And this whole, I'm never going to use Rooney in the midfield. Well, he played left midfield today. I'm not going to use square pegs in round holes. We've got more square pegs in round holes than we've ever had. And there won't be as many injuries in my team. And we've got loads of injuries again. But, maybe that was the naivety of not knowing what a bigger problem it is. And I think we've heard that he doesn't realise how big a problem it was when he took over. But thanks everybody for watching. 8:30 tomorrow night for Skype Goldbridge. You can get involved and give us your thoughts. Thanks to Alex for coming on. We will be live next Sunday as well, but loads of content up on the channel before that. Thanks for coming on, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We have a boring international break now, but at least the likes of Martial isn't playing, and I really hope Rashford doesn't play in it either, and we just come out of it injury free.
Yeah, we've got a few players. I mean, obviously Carrick will be well rested as well. And we can all get to watch Match of the Day 2 tonight, which is great. So please drop us a like on the video if you haven't already. It'd be nice to get up to close to 1,000 likes on the video. I'm going to go and watch Made in Chelsea before I watch Match of the Day 2. And I'll probably send some tweets to Gary Neville about Valencia and England in the summer, because I need some tips. I'm only joking. I think Gary Neville was a legend for me. I was a bit disappointed that he decided to have a pop at us, but such is life. Like I said, got roasted, but you know what? Manchester United won. That's all that matters to me today. If that's the downside of United winning, we had to win. I could not have faced an international break. We would have been 11 points behind Liverpool, who were top, so it would have been horrible. But we're not. We've won. We're not where we want to be, but at least we've won, and we can start building. But thanks everybody for watching. See you tomorrow night at 8:30 on Skype Goldbridge, where it's all about you, and you can ask anything you want about United or anything. So speak to you tomorrow at 8:30. Enjoy your start to the week, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching.